everyone. This is Mihret Nigussie from Ethiopia, and I am a club president for Rotary Club Addis Ababa Central Mela, vice president for Fikr Ethiopian National Association on Intellectual Disability, and founding committee president for Special Olympics Ethiopia, and immediate past president for Federation of Ethiopian Association of Persons with Disability. And currently I'm working with Inclusion Africa as Inclusive Education Regional Coordinator. I am also a sibling for a brother with intellectual disability. I will discuss today with you the situation of disability in Ethiopia. Let me discuss about the overall face of Ethiopia. We are more than 110 million population estimates for Ethiopia on the latest United Nations estimation for 2019, and it become now 150 million people living in Ethiopia. And according to UNDP Human Development Report, in 2006, Ethiopia is ranked 174 with the HDI value, and also 0.448, which is low human development. And also the gross domestic product, GDP in Ethiopia was worth 61.54 billion US dollar in 2050. And Ethiopian government spending per GDP, according to the 2040 Index of Economic Freedom, and the Heritage Foundation in the Wall Street Journal is 80.4%. I'm not good at this, but maybe some of you might have an experience on HDI, GDP, and so on and so on, just to give you how our economy look like in our country. And when we discuss about the disability prevalence, person with disability in Ethiopia, disability population is estimated 70.6% of the total population, according to WHO and UN report on disability in 2011, which means more than 20 million people in general is person with disability in Ethiopia. It means physical, sensory, intellectual, or mental health impairments in the country. And the last two census of Ethiopia underestimated the population size. As you can see, in 1984, there was a census. In Ethiopian calendar, we had 3.9%. On the last, in 2007, we had also census, which means in our calendar, 1994, 1.9%. And also, yeah, in 1994, we had 1.9%, in 2007, 1.2. We were expecting to have this last year, we were expecting to have the final census, but because of our situation, we couldn't have the census. So the last one is in 2007. According to 2007 National Population and Housing Census in Ethiopia, estimated there are only 864,000 persons with disability, which means 1.17% of the population is person with disability of the total population. At that time was 73 million. And in reality, the proportion could probably be higher because of the high prevalence of its risk factors, like including disease, war, famine, accident, malnutrition, and harmful tradition practice, and also high poverty in general in our country. So like me, almost all of the disability advocates will not accept this census results that we have in our country. But we are stick with the 2011 WHO report, which means 70.6%, almost 20 million people in general, person with disability. So we'll see the overview of persons with disability in Ethiopia. Persons with disability in Ethiopia is no available data related to inclusive ICT in Ethiopia. And also when we see great majority of persons with disability in Ethiopia have no education, employment, and other opportunities in life and could not fulfill their basic needs. But when we say basic needs, food, clothes, and shelter and the like. And also do not have access to basic social services that could help reduce their dependency. And 95% of persons with disability and their families in Ethiopia are living in extreme poverty. Currently, as you maybe you heard about it, we have a reform. So because of this reform, we are starting seeing changes in every sector regardless to person with disability. We have got a separate disability affairs directorate within the Ministry of Labor and Social Affairs, starting from 2019, and we have got hope to see a better implementation of inclusive development in our country. And also in Ethiopia, persons with disability have over the years organized themselves at national level, as we call it DPOs, Single Disability National Association of Persons with Disability. And also we do have umbrella organization. I was the immediate president. I just hand over it on last March, all with headquarters in Addis Ababa, the headquarters of the DPOs. And we do have Federation of Ethiopian National Association of Persons with Disability, founded in 1996, and the blind and the deaf associations, almost more than 15 years have been here in Ethiopia. There are also a lot of grassroots levels DPOs in every part of Ethiopia, but DPOs in the grassroots level don't have capacity, especially in the rural area. They all are in need of all support. When we see what the type of impairment, type of disability recognized in our country, we have 3 types of impairments in this regard. The first one is physical impairment, a category of impairment including people with varying types of physical impairment, upper limbs limitations, lower limb, including leprosy affected people will be included in the physical impairment. And also we will have sensory impairment. It is common term in this term, describe deafness, blindness, visual impairment, deaf blindness, and so on. And also the third one is intellectual impairment. In our country, we are starting working on the psychosocial disability. Still, we're not recognized yet as a disability group in Ethiopia, but we are working on it, and the association is started currently. And when we see the general situation of persons with disability, children with disability, I would like to share the education status and the technology and so on and so on. 40% of children with disability, 4% of children with disability have access to primary education, and access to schooling decreases rapidly, and we are still working on it. Approximately 3,000 students in inclusive education and 70,000 total enrolled at the country level. And number of students with special needs enrollment in Ethiopia, more than 84,000. In the primary school, there are special classes, better quality services at the private schools, but in the public schools, still we are struggling to have a better and quality services for education for the children. We have also no children and youth in vocational except in the NGO managed institution. Like for example, I'm working with the Intellectual Disability Association. We are trying to provide services of vocational skill trainings for those with intellectual disability. But in the government or the public institutions, we're still struggling to include youth with disabilities in the vocational training centers. Currently, we have no students with the intellectual disability in secondary and post-secondary areas. And the problem is not fully exclusion and capacity as well. So we need to work on this regardless. And also there was a report provided by our country government for the CRPD committee, the Convention of the Right of Persons with Disability, and they insisted to have a quality service on the inclusive education provided for students with intellectual disability and also the deaf children. And I would like to share also the common barriers to inclusion of persons with disability. It refers to any process, mindset, or structures that prevent men, women, and children with disability from equal access to information, facilities, and basic services that are available to general population. So we are facing so many barriers for the inclusion of persons with disability in different grounds and service provisions in Ethiopia. We have also international and national frameworks, and I would like to start with the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability. It was adopted in 2006 at global level in December 2006, and it was open for signature on 30 March 2007, and also it came into force on 3 May 2008. Ethiopia signed and ratified the CRPD in 2010. So we do have, as an international legislation for the rights of persons with disability in Ethiopia. But we are working on the Disability Act, like we do, as you have in USA. We are working on the Disability Act in Ethiopia. We are also working on the African Disability Protocol. Ethiopia not yet signed and ratified, but we are in the process. This is a protocol reflects a legal instrument for an African perspective, but we do have the place we are mentioned in the federal constitution in Ethiopia. Article 41 of the constitution sets out the state responsibility for the provision of necessary rehabilitation and support services for people with disability. And we do have different kinds of proclamation 676, which ratify the Convention of the Right of Persons with Disability. We do have Building Proclamation, Labor Proclamation, Civil Society Organization Proclamation, the Federal Civil Servant Proclamation, and so on. So we do have different kinds of national frameworks and international frameworks to include persons with disability in Ethiopia.